Hello and welcome to Cutting to the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben, as always I'm hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Hey.
And Pete.
Hello.
Today we're going to talk about nuclear close calls. And the reason for that is that when we did Hell Comes to Frogtown last week, we seemed to dwell on for a while at the end of the show on the possibility that Russia may actually launch a nuclear strike and what that would entail for us.
And I don't think it would happen.
And you don't think it'd happen. I don't think it'd happen. Do you know where you two guys are on it? If even a tactical nuclear weapon were to be used?
I think it's possible, yeah.
Pete? You have to talk.
Potentially.
Potentially. Right? I'm going to tell you about all the times that it nearly happened on accident.
Yeah, pretty frightening.
We've come really close, and there's some very lax protocols at times, it seems, around the, let's say, security measures and retaliation protocols and pilot's discretion.
Yeah. I mean, it is like a sword of Damocles hanging over us.
It certainly is.
That can just destroy life, all life on Earth.
Certainly life as you know it.
Yeah.
Well, it takes us back to the Dark Ages, the survivors.
Yeah.
We were back to the medieval times. Out in the field, tilling farms, in the irradiated soil that's food's giving us all cancer anyway. Getting more cancer from the sun, which isn't being shielded as much by the ozone layer. It's giving us all cataracts and skin cancer.
And fighting off giant cockroaches.
And possibly fighting off giant cockroaches.
And frogmen.
And frogmen. It's a bit
And
bleak.
women. Frog women.
Representing the frog women.
Yep.
Before I get into that, I will read out some new returning listeners. Vienna in Austria, Tallinn in Estonia, I've seen you before, Perryville, Missouri, Baldwin City, Kansas, Bacolod City in the Philippines, Izar in India, Adelaide, Australia, Inola, Oklahoma, I haven't seen you before, Novi Sad in Serbia, Porterville in Missouri, Paris, France, Spring Valley, New York, Lynn in Massachusetts, Illescas in Spain, Stevenage in the UK, Bengaluru, Ashburn, Virginia, and Guadalajara, Spain. Thank you very much for listening. Tell a friend to listen to us. Give them our details on Facebook, which are Cutting to the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse, SoundCloud, and most other podcasting platforms as Cutting to the Bull in the PTA, and YouTube as Apocalypse Bull. Give us a follow, tell a friend, let us grow, you know, do some shit, help us out.
Spread the word.
Right, let's start with nuclear close calls. Now, a nuclear close call is a set of circumstances that could have resulted in an unintended nuclear detonation. Incidents normally involve an expected imminent threat to a country with nuclear capabilities, which could result in a retaliatory strike. At their most severe, the potential damage of nuclear close calls would have resulted in mutually assured destruction. Mad.
Yep.
Fantastic acronym.
Yeah.
Sums it up perfectly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Obviously not to be confused with Mothers Against Drink Driving.
Well, wouldn't that be...
It's a double A, but you know.
They're mad as well.
What, for being against drink driving?
Wouldn't it be double D?
It is a double A, but pronounced the same, isn't it?
Double D.
No, it's M-A-A-D.
Oh.
Mothers Against Drink Driving.
I'm telling you, that's how it's... Sure it is.
Makes sense to me, it's double D, innit?
Oh yeah, shit. Double D.
I much prefer double D.
Yeah, you would go double D.
I'm thinking the Millennium Army Against Ducks. Which is mad. Yeah, despite a general improvement in global nuclear tensions and major arms reductions, I can tell you how much everybody's got now if you want to know, quickly.
Yep.
Russia, 6,257 with 1,458 active, 3,337 available and 1,760 retired.
Until I started doing this podcast, Pete, I actually only thought there was about, I don't know, 100 nukes over the whole planet.
So Russia's got 1,400 active,
Wow.
And 3,000 available out of the 6,257. The US has 5,550.
They got less.
Yes, they have less, yeah.
Oh wow, look at that.
1,389 active, 2,361 available, and 1,800 retired.
So they're no
all
good
these
now.
retired.
They're in storage or in the process of being decommissioned, where you presume they could be recommissioned.
Being held under guard by top men.
Top men. China has 350 and is actively expanding. France has 290 available. The UK has 225 available, potentially up to 300. We've been increasing at the moment.
Why?
We just did under Boris. They pushed through the nuclear funding.
Well, luckily they're the most advanced out of pretty much all of them.
No,
We don't have many compared to some, but they're all a lot more.
Well, the newest.
Yeah, that's it. They're a lot more advanced, I think, is the word to use.
Yeah.
No,
Russia have got the biggest, haven't they?
Potentially, yeah.
Look, the Satan 2.
They have, but there's so many they've got of them. A lot of this stuff's still Cold War, remember?
No doubt one of Boris's chums will be profiteering from that.
Oh, well, I actually don't. I assume it's Port and Down builds our nuclear weapons. Despite a general improvement in global nuclear tensions and major arms reductions after the prolonged nuclear threat of the Cold War, there remains no shortage of nuclear weapons in the world, as we've just found out. Together, all of the nuclear weapons in the world have the combined power to kill a staggering 3 billion people, or in the event of nuclear winter, totally extinguish the human race.
Did you include India and Pakistan?
I did not. I didn't finish the list.
Yeah.
Pakistan 165, India 156, Israel, although they've never admitted it, are estimated to have 90.
Yep.
And North Korea,
Korea, yeah.
40 to 50 estimated. Again, loosely estimated.
Okay.
That's enough, to destroy the planet many times over.
Yeah.
3 billion people in one shot, according to this article I've got in front of me. In the event of a nuclear winter, kill us all. Now, historically, nuclear bombs have been dropped accidentally. And the big red button has nearly been pressed due to misinterpreted data and technical faults have triggered dangerous crisis response sequences. In all, there have been at least 22 very close misses. I think I've got a good chunk of them here.
22.
Where someone's just
And these-
accidentally pushed
Yeah.
the button.
Nearly pressed it.
Ugh.
Now, at the end, I'm going to ask you a question. We know about 22. Let's do the first one. False alarm of the Soviet attack on the 5th of November 1956 during the Suez Crisis. You know much about this Suez Crisis? Probably not. They don't teach it in schools because we lost.
We got our asses kicked.
No, we didn't get our asses kicked. We pulled out because of Russian pressure. Britain and France invaded Egypt because...
And American.
No, the Americans weren't involved.
No, that's what I mean. That's why we pulled out.
No,
'cause the
Americans-
Americans didn't back us.
That's also true. The Americans didn't back us.
No.
We invaded Egypt because the Suez Canal, which we depended on for vital trade and oil,
We
was
were the French.
with the French.
Yeah.
The largest invasion fleet since Normandy, which considering was only like 12 years later, is not bad. Because we didn't like the idea of the Egyptians having control of the Suez Canal rather than us. The Egyptian
Yeah.
government had a revolution, were a bit anti-West nowadays and decided we're going to nationalise it and take away Western authority over it.
Well, Egypt, they weren't a colony of ours, they were a protectorate. So we had our interests there.
Yeah.
We wanted the Suez Canal, we wanted all the money that was going to come from that, and
The trade...
you didn't want to share it with the Egyptians.
Yeah. Remember, we're rebuilding in 1956 still. All that raw material still come from the places where we've got empire.
Yeah.
So British and French forces attacked Egypt to get back the Suez Canal. The Soviet government proposed to the US that they would combine non-nuclear forces to stop the attack. Russians didn't like us getting involved. While considering this, the US were alerted to an apparently unidentified aircraft flying over Turkey, Soviet planes flying over Syria, a British bomber crashing to the ground, and Soviet ships manoeuvring in a way that signalled an attack. The US feared this might trigger a nuclear strike against the Soviet Union by NATO, because everyone's on a high edge. We've just invaded Egypt. And NATO has, of course, the law that if the Russians attack us for attacking Egypt, that means NATO has to get involved.
Yeah.
However, the threat was finally diffused when it was realised all events were coincidental or misinterpreted. The unidentified aircraft over Turkey was Swans.
Fucking hell.
The Soviet plane was an escort for the Syrian president on the way home. The British bomber had experienced mechanical issues, and the Soviet fleet were just doing regular scheduled exercises. That's a great one because it's high tensions. Everyone's watching Egypt.
Circumstances.
And everything all of a sudden just goes, oh, the Soviet fucking fleet are doing exercises. That bomber's crashed. What's that plane doing over there?
Circumstantial coincidences.
Yeah. But it's everyone ups their fucking nuclear alert level at that point. Remember at this point, 1956, the Americans have Strategic Air Command. They have B-52 bombers literally flying 400 miles away around Russia, constantly, 24 hours, 365 days a year, all armed with nuclear weapons and primary, secondary and tertiary targets. Constantly they had that going for years until missiles got better. But 20 odd years they did that for.
Never.
Yeah.
Poor Russians just stood there going, what the fuck's that? We can't compete with that. Of course, they haven't played their own little games. They're still doing it now, aren't they? And they fly a plane too close to us now and again. It has to be escorted out of our airspace.
Or a ship, yeah.
Yeah. Let's just go to the next one. The Kirtland Air Force Base accident, 22nd of May 1957. On a fine day in Albuquerque, New Mexico, a bomb somehow fell through the bomb bay doors of a B-36 aircraft, transporting a nuclear weapon from Texas to New Mexico.
Fucking, I mean, that could have dropped on a fucking city, US city. If it detonated, it would have took them out.
Just because it fell through. The bomb fell some 1,700 feet into a field south of Kirtland Air Force Base, exploding and creating a crater 12 feet deep and 25 feet across. Luckily, the nuclear capsule had separated from the conventional explosives during transport for safety during transit, meaning the damage was far less than it could have been, and the only casualty of the accident was a nearby grazing cow.
Oh, poor cow.
Okay, so luckily it wouldn't have...
It was disarmed.
Yeah.
Because it does have to be armed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an explosive core around that creates the nuclear fission. Gives that part of the bomb the energy to go off and give out that tremendous amount of energy. So they tend to deactivate that for travel, but...
So it's just a normal bomb until you put that bit in it and then it becomes
You activate it, yeah.
Yeah, until you get the required pressure there to, boom, activate that nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
But still, just falling out the sky.
Yeah, not good.
The Goldsboro B-52 crash of 24th of January 1961. A single safety switch was all that stood between a 20 megaton Mark 39 hydrogen bomb. 20 megatons is 20 million tons of explosive, of TNT.
Whoa.
A single safety switch was all it took it from exploding in North Carolina in January 1961. A B-52 plane carrying two of the bombs suffered a fuel leak in the wing. The plane exploded and dropped both bombs. The parachute of one deployed, while the other nearly exploded due to 5 of its 6 safety mechanisms failing.
Why are they allowed to fly with these things? Shouldn't they just only be set off from
Where
from
they've been
land
made.
now? Surely
You mean transported along the roads, like on?
only transported along the roads as opposed to...
Well, no, they're designed to be carried in aircraft. You've got this Air Force sitting there, use that to take them. It's practice for the pilots carrying a bomb for a start, isn't it?
What happens if you had got a nuclear bomb on board a plane and it had an accidental crash and then killed the whole fucking planet?
Because the bomb would have to be armed.
Yeah, one couldn't kill the whole planet.
Yeah, they have safety switches. However, in this scenario, 5 of the 6 safety mechanisms failed.
But this is why they put multiple in.
Good job, innit?
Yeah.
Now, if the bomb had exploded, a large part of North Carolina would have been totally obliterated. The question to ask there is, would they have admitted that or claimed it was a Russian attack?
Good point.
Probably the latter.
And then it would have been World War III.
Yeah,
Because they would have struck back, wouldn't they?
of course. We're in 1961.
Yeah.
Tensions are high. You're going to admit that you've perfect opportunity of false flag, get a first strike in.
You wouldn't
Yeah.
take the egg on your face, would you?
No. Killing hundreds of millions of people. Bombing your own state.
By accident.
Yeah.
God.
While the Air Force managed to recover the bomb's plutonium, they spent months searching for but ultimately never found the uranium. As a result, they purchased the land in the area where they believed it was lost.
Never.
Just in case.
Never found it then?
Nope, never found it. Never found the uranium.
Fancy that. You could understand if it was under the sea, they might not have found it, but on land.
Yeah.
Could be sat in a river somewhere, just poisoning the water, couldn't it?
Or someone very quickly,
Scooped it up.
yeah.
And there's no death of radiation poisoning, maybe, I don't know.
No, it might have been some kind of Russian fucking spy kind of style or something. You never know, do you?
True. You never know.
They could have
Fortunate though, he's in the right place at the right time.
Well, they could have
unless
had word
there's sabotage on the
They
plane.
could have had word that this plane was going down. They knew it with the,
Could have sabotaged the plane himself.
yeah, with the intelligence that they had on the plane. They'd have known that there was these 2 nukes on there. It's gone down. Right, let's get to that scene and see if we can find anything. You never know.
Well, they never found it.
Oh, what's this glowing green stuff?
The Volk Field Bear incident on the 25th of October 1962, smack in the middle of the Cuban Missile Crisis. President John F. Kennedy's negotiations with Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev was resulting in little resolution, and the US military's nuclear stockpile had the combined power of some 42,000 bombs, equivalent to the one dropped on Hiroshima. That's how much they've got now. They've got 42,000, the combined power of 42,000 Hiroshima bombs.
Wow.
It seemed that both sides were willing to strike at any time. At around midnight on the 25th of October 1962, a shadowy figure climbed a fence near Volk Field Air National Guard base in Duluth, Minnesota. An Air Force guard identified it as Russian Spetsnaz, the Soviet Union Special Forces, preparing to sabotage US command facilities.
The Spetsnaz!
Spetsnaz! After a number of shots were fired, the alarm system malfunctioned and a klaxon rang out over the airbase, resulting in 2 squadrons of F-106A fighter jets containing 800-pound nuclear rockets rushing to their launch sites under the assumption that World War III had begun.
Fuck.
However, at the last moment it was realised that the shadowy figure was actually a black bear climbing a fence and the strike was called off.
Holy shit.
In short, World War III had nearly been caused by a bear.
Never. Bad bear!
Have you seen the new Winnie the Pooh trailer, Blood and Honey?
No.
Blood and honey?
This is not a Winnie the Pooh film you'll think of Winnie the Pooh. Basically, Christopher Robin abandoned the animals in the farm, in the Jamaica woods, and goes back after 20 years, and they've all gone feral, and they're killers. And this group of hot teenage girls goes there, and they all get killed in a horrible, brutal...
Halloween type.
Yeah, it's called Blood and Honey.
Blood and honey.
I don't know if it's coming out or it's a fan-made thing I saw, but it was a very good trailer. We'll watch it after the show.
Nice.
Well, it was, and then you never saw much of Pooh, and I'm guessing that's for. You never saw much of the creatures, and I'm guessing that's for trademarking purposes, unless it's a legit film.
It's an up-and-coming British independent slasher film.
There you go.
No way.
Fantastic. All right, then back to the show. The Palomares B-52 crash on the 17th of January 1966. During a routine refueling operation over Spain, an American B-52 plane was struck by the fuel plane's boom. So they're, obviously, because they're flying around Europe, around Russia, they're pretty much covering the fucking globe, really.
Yeah.
They're over Spain at this point. Friendly nation, I guess, refuel. Plane boom, the refueling boom hits the plane, instantly destroying both planes and killing 7 of the 11 crew members. 2 bombs from the B-52 rocketed towards the ground and exploded on impact near the village of Palomares, contaminating the square mile with radioactive plutonium.
This is what I'm on about. Shouldn't we have an agreement? Look, no bombs in the skies. Come on, you can fire them from where you live in.
Why can't we have an agreement? No nuclear weapons? Wouldn't that make more sense?
It's one step at a time, Mike.
Well, there's probably very few bombs in the sky now at any one time. Probably none, I'd imagine, unless the Russians load one up. The Americans still use the B-52s, but they don't continue Strategic Air Command anymore, because their first response is missile forces. the bombs in the air is a little bit obsolete now. Yeah, they maintain the stealth bombers, but that's that DEFCON 1, well, whatever the highest DEFCON is, DEFCON 4, maybe DEFCON 1.
DEFCON 76.
Anyway, another bomb was found unexploded in a riverbed and another fell in the Mediterranean Sea. The incident was featured on the front page of the New York Times in January 1966, and Spanish fishermen went to court to claim salvage rights to the bomb in the sea, which would have entitled them to around $20 million. The matter was settled at court.
So he was like, I found it.
Give me $20 million, you have it back.
Me. See, that's why that one that wasn't found could have been like scuttled away quite,
Maybe.
Yep. It's not the only bit of uranium that's gone missing, is it?
No. Christ, how many Russian briefcase bombs are still fucking unaccounted for?
How many movies have been made about uranium going missing?
It's true.
It's because it happens, yeah.
The Cuban Missile Crisis. I won't go too much into depth of this. The background I've done before and in a couple of shows now. But basically, the Russians put missiles in Cuba. The Americans didn't like it. They blockaded Cuba, so get your missiles out, and if those Russians turn up, we'll open fire.
Yep.
And it won't go well.
And the Russian fleet kept sailing, didn't it, towards Cuba?
Until the last minute, they just went, nah, you know what, fuck it. Negotiated, got a settlement.
They turned back at the last minute. So if they'd gone past that line,
it would have been open fire. Yeah. In late October 1962, in the midst of the Cuban Missile Crisis, the Soviets sent 4 submarines to patrol the waters of Cuba. Unbeknownst to the Americans, the submarines were carrying torpedoes tipped with Hiroshima-sized nuclear weapons, which the captains were authorised to fire.
Just the captain.
Just the captain. To make the situation more critical, the submarines were out of contact with Moscow and so could only estimate what was happening above sea level. On the 27th of October, the US fleet discovered and surrounded one of the submarines, and the Moscow officer decided to fire his special weapon at the US ships. This decision required a second officer to agree on the submarine, which he did. However, the head of the submarine fleet, Vasily Arkhipov, overruled the order, meaning that the nuclear weapons weren't fired. Arkhipov became known as the man who saved the world. A nickname also afforded other individuals such as Stanislav Petrov, and we'll get to him, who prevented nuclear war.
Oh, let's fire the special weapon!
The special? What did you think you went into Gollum mode?
Yeah.
But it was only because the one officer refused to follow orders.
Fucking Gandalf!
Well, Gandalf didn't refuse to follow the orders, Claire.
No, he's the one that was against it. He's just a stick in the mud.
Well, you want them to fire the Hiroshima-sized torpedoes at the US fleet?
I was just putting myself into the
mindset of the Russian captains.
Yeah, he wanted to do the special weapon.
Dimitri, do the special weapon.
The false missile attack, 83, 20th of September. Yes, there was one in September.
1983.
1983. The autumn of 1983, tensions between the US and the Soviet Union were especially pronounced due to the Soviet Union having shot down a plane travelling from New York. On the 26th of September 1983, a Soviet satellite reported that 5 US missiles were heading towards the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union prepared to launch a retaliatory nuclear attack on the US and its NATO allies that could have resulted in a nuclear war that would have killed half the population of both countries involved. The officer in charge, Stanislav Petrov, had a feeling that if the US were to attack, they would do it with far more than 5 missiles. So he disobeyed Soviet military protocol and dismissed the warning. He was correct. Thank fucking Christ, eh? The satellite had interpreted the sun's reflection off the clouds as a missile attack.
Oh.
Never.
Though his efforts didn't come to light until much later, he's probably saved more lives than anyone else in history.
Fair play.
Mad.
The false US airstrike of the 1995, I've got some later ones actually coming up. This goes on a lot later.
Bloody hell.
Because you think the early ones, I always thought you can kind of forgive because the protocols aren't in place for dealing with this
Health
stuff.
and safety, all that kind of thing wasn't. Yeah.
It's not there, and they're learning as they go along. So the early ones I can kind of forgive. Not the crashes, but the accidental alarms and things like that.
Anything from here onwards.
1995, we should have fucking sorted this out by
It's
now.
almost unforgivable now.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Russian radars suggested that the American airstrike was incoming. President Boris Yeltsin was alerted and given the suitcase, the nuclear football, that has all the launch codes and instructions about how to launch a strike in retaliation, and ordered the Russian nuclear forces to be on alert. Eventually, he decided not to launch a counter-strike. It later emerged that Russian warning systems had picked up a Norwegian-US research rocket that had been launched by scientists studying the Northern Lights. The scary part about this is that the Norwegians told everybody in the area, we're firing this rocket on the 25th of January 1995 at this time, and they sent it to the Russians as well as everybody else, and the Russians just never passed it along to the right people. Never passed it along. Fuck it, that'll be alright.
Dodgy Russians.
Yeah, right.
Got any more?
Oh yes. In 67, May 23rd, confusing solar flares and nuclear attacks. Solar flares are an issue, aren't they?
Yep.
It takes a big one, we're all gone.
Yep.
We'd have 8 minutes, that'll be it.
8 minutes to what? Do anything?
If they found, react. The only place you'd be safe is deep in a cave. If solar flare big enough to wipe out the Earth went towards us.
Is that when the sun spits out like a major?
A coronal mass ejection, yeah.
Yeah.
Takes 8 minutes from light from the sun to hit the Earth, so we'd have 8 minutes warning.
How much of a massive injection?
If it was big enough to literally take it, if it hit us when the magnetic poles had switched and they're the weakest, and they're due to switch, and if that thing pumped out enough, a big enough one, and the storm is getting very violent recently,
Could strip the atmosphere.
could literally strip the atmosphere, incinerate every living thing on the planet.
That'd be quite quick though, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would literally move as fast as the sun, as fast as light.
Yeah.
Well, as fast as the hot gases
As soon
be
as it
ejected.
strip the atmosphere away, we'd all just burn
Yeah.
to smithereens.
Yeah.
And-
If
You'd
you're
be
a few
massive
miles
fires
underground,
everywhere.
you'd be okay.
Yeah, if you're in a cave under the ground, you're fine, but everything on the surface is
They
gone.
wouldn't tell us.
Is anybody else here like a real deep thinker? Because I am. And he's just freaking me out now.
Is
I
there
overthink everything. I'm going
Mate.
to start buying sun cream now. Like, that's...
factor 50 million?
Yeah.
You already thought of these things.
Yeah, of course I have.
Yeah.
You know when these politicians vying for leader or prime minister, and they have them
Debates.
debates, yeah, and I'm a bit battered, but they don't tell us when they say, oh, they're like, yeah, I'll press the red button, I'll press it.
No one asks them that.
They do, they ask them that, don't they?
They asked him in the
Yeah.
last election, Boris and Corbyn. Yeah.
Yep.
The actual
Yes.
red button, or would you go to war?
Would you press the red button? Would you launch it? If Soviet missiles are in Russia, go back to that. I mean, I'm listening to a lot of Cold War stuff this week. If the Russians launched a nuclear strike at Britain, you got these 4-minute warning, possibly less nowadays. Would you press the red button to fire the nukes back in retaliation, just as a bit of a fuck you?
Yeah, but what they don't tell us is that we've been 22 times, we've been close to
You've
nuclear
accidentally done it.
annihilation.
Yeah.
It's madness, but no one, it just doesn't get reported, does it?
No, because they don't want to start a panic.
Of course.
Want everyone to go to work tomorrow, Mike?
But a sane population wouldn't accept it, especially considering we've got no shelters.
No, there's no shelters.
In the whole
Not for
country.
us, not for
Nope.
civilians. Not in Telford.
We're expendable.
I got a freedom of information request on that.
Not even a selected 100,000 like they make out on the movies. That's just a joke, innit?
There might be somewhere that could combine,
The
maybe.
politicians, they're okay, and
They'll take the useful people, wouldn't
What
they?
about an old basement?
In a nuclear strike, it depends where it explodes. It really does. And if you got windows, if you got windows, that's a factor. If you got a basement window, if it's a proper cellar, you've probably got more chance, providing you're not like on the epicenter.
politicians have got their own bunkers, the wealthy have got their private bunkers, they're fine.
Where would you go then? Because I know 3 houses with like cellars. I don't know.
I know where some-
Don't know the people that live in.
That's
them
what I
anymore,
mean.
But I literally would just bust there, and I go and know that the house.
This is my house now, Dave.
What if they've already down then, they've locked you out?
I'd be like, fucking let me in.
Get the axe to the door.
You're talking minutes.
Yeah, I'm shit. Okay, the one I could get to. is no.
I'm in the cupboard under the
One's in
stairs in my home.
Presage, which is good 20 odd minutes away. One's in Broseley, good 20 odd minutes away.
You haven't got 20 minutes, unless you
No.
think it's going to happen and you decide to go there early and kick them out their own home.
Isn't there an old bunker in Dorley?
There's a few World War II bunkers, concrete Anderson shelters still dotted about. There's one in Orsay, actually.
Oh.
But it'd be no good for surviving a new... there's no doors to them, that's the problem. You need doors.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should club together and build a bunker.
Or at least find out who's got a cellar within a 3-minute
build-
radius.
We need to club together and buy an house that's got a cellar.
Let's just build a bunker in my back garden.
I bet that Ellie's got a cellar.
The Everton Castle, we could bust our way in there
Yeah.
within 3 minutes.
In Switzerland, every new house that's been built since when?
Oh, the
60s,
50s,
50s or 60s has to have a nuclear shelter.
Never.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Honestly, in
it does.
Switzerland,
Well,
yeah.
it's
Let's just
because-
move to Switzerland then.
Yeah.
Well, that's because every single Swiss citizen is also a member of the armed forces or the reserve. They don't have a standing armed forces. Everyone does training throughout the year, and you're up to like 40. So most people in the population have got, and this includes women, have got uniform, rifle, and like so many magazines at home.
Okay.
And so if should nuclear war happen, they're down in their bunker. They live out the fallout, and then they can come and fight. That's their defence plan. It's fantastic in its simplicity. Also weird that when you think that every Swiss citizen has like two magazines and a rifle at home, no one goes on mass shootings.
Yep. But the British politicians have determined that we're expendable in a nuclear war.
Yeah, there's only going to be the ones that are left in the armed forces because they'll have shelters on the base. Most bases have got some kind of shelter. How many you can fit in it, I don't know. Oh well. Anyway, solar flares, right?
Shit happens.
Well, I've got nothing else going on. So the Air Force, US Air Force, has a series of radar stations around the world in 1967 to detect Russian early launches. And on this night they all went dark, and that was spark fears that Russia had disabled the early warning system. The bombers get fueled, armed and ready to fly. They're thinking, shit, they've taken out the early warning system, they're going to first strike us, we'll get it in before them. Just in time, the recently established Solar Forecasting Centre managed to get a bulletin into the hands of a commanding officer showing there was a solar flare and not the Soviets had knocked out the early warning system.
Shit.
Yeah. June 3rd, 1980. Warning displays at the command centres began showing various numbers of missiles had been launched towards the US. Immediately, preparations for retaliation would begin. However, the number of missiles varying wasn't logical. Basically, the numbers were like, it's 7, it's 9, it's 12, it's 22, it's 200. Everyone's like, alright, this isn't right. 3 days of false alarms there was, until they realised that there was faulty computer chips in the computers. It was a bad batch of computer chips.
So you just can't rely on this shit or AI.
No.
That's exactly my point. You can't rely on AI. What if there's a bad
How many
microchip?
pop-ups we've had as humans.
He was
you
a
know?
good AI until there was a bad microchip. And he became bad AI.
Bad AI. All AI. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it.
What's the chance, isn't it? He can either save us or destroy us. Be our salvation or be our...
I know, but we can't make one good. It'll just feed off us. It'll feed off
Matrix.
people. It'll feed off people. No, it'll be connected to the internet. It'll just start reading Twitter and Facebook, and it'll just become evil. It'll be shaped by our own collective internet personalities, which for a lot of people is complete dickheads.
And constantly taking selfies.
Yeah. I don't want to pose with a fucking Terminator bleeding out for a selfie on the battlefield. You know?
Hang on! He's just fucking...
He's just shot me.
Yeah.
He picks me up round the shoulder, says "smile fucker" in an Arnie voice, "smart fucker."
Oh, he's
and
the
then
one with
takes
the...
the selfie, uploads it.
I thought you were the one that wanted
No,
a selfie.
it's the same consciousness with the
Dying
AI.
wish. Let me get a selfie with you.
No, I don't want a selfie. Because he's the same AI, and he's an extended consciousness of the central AI, which is going to assess with selfies and hate crimes. Yeah. He wants a selfie with me.
Hashtag BFF.
It'll be horrific.
He just rips at your spine.
Yeah, exactly.
Hashtag squishy people.
Hashtag flesh bags.
Yeah. Squishy bags of flesh.
Oh, where am I? Where am I on this carnival of fun? Is everyone suitably horrified yet? Or?
Yes, wonderfully.
November 2nd to the November the 11th, 1983, NATO war games, Able Archer. At a time when Reagan has already declared the Soviet Union to be the evil empire, basically, and says that he's going to stand up to any threat they make, which massively increases tension. NATO decides to hold massive war games and doesn't tell the Russians. A simulation of conflict escalation and a practice DEFCON 1, which is the highest, with a simulated nuclear response. So they're not going to launch anything, they're just going to simulate it. There was a unique new format of coded communication which the Soviets couldn't intercept. No one told them, and also they were on holiday for their Revolution Day. On November the 11th, the Soviets actually do manage to intercept a message saying that nuclear weapons have been launched. Fortunately, nothing showed up on radar, so they didn't launch anything back. The Deputy Director CIA, Robert Gates, said, "We may have been on the brink of nuclear war and not known it."
Madness, isn't it?
It's hardly war games when no one else is fucking playing.
Well, it's just you split into two, don't you? One side plays the Russians, one side plays you guys.
Tell someone, the opponent that you're playing this weekend.
Yeah, exactly. They think it's a real threat.
They're fucking partying all weekend. They wake up on Sunday and they're like, shit, I think we can see some missiles. It could all go terribly wrong just there.
Exactly. Misrouted nukes, August 2007. 2007, we're at the height of the war on terror here.
Yeah.
Same year smoking was banned.
Oh, what a dark day that was.
In public places.
Bastard, I walked
In
into
pubs.
a pub with a lit five, just like the old days, and then got kicked out straight away. Get out! I was just like, what have I done? Cigarette? Oh, fuck.
Oh God, I miss the days when you went in. All the doors were shut. It was like a cold winter's night. You opened the pub door and the smoke just billowed out.
Yeah.
And then you walked in.
And you stunk for about 3 days later. No matter how many showers you had, you could still smell that smoky beer smell.
You're not meant to wear the same clothes for the next 3 days, Pete.
No,
Chuck them in the wash.
No matter how many showers you have, it just sticks on you, doesn't it? It's just.
I know what you mean.
I was exaggerating.
There was always a stale smoke clothes.
She always takes everything literal.
Always a stale smoke smell on your clothes.
The autism.
The day after. 6 nuclear-armed cruise missiles accidentally loaded onto a B-52 at Mino Air Force Base in North Dakota. No crew checked them and they were live. They just went, okay, they're probably deactivated, they're nukes, they'll be fine. Nope, they're live.
Fuck.
Safety mechanisms aren't in place. The plane sat overnight, unguarded. Then flew 1,500 miles to an Air Force base in Louisiana, where it sat unguarded for a further 9 hours. In total, there were 36 hours where 6 nuclear weapons were missing and no one noticed.
Wow.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
Especially in the age of war on terror. When we're being told they were everywhere, we had to all be vigilant.
They're everywhere, obviously.
Imagine if they were stolen and it took them 36 hours to realise
That's what I mean.
they were stolen.
Crazy, innit?
You know, what if one of the pilots, what if the crew of the bomber had just sold the weapons?
10 hours later, there's a nuclear explosion and everyone's like, what the fuck, what?
Yeah, and they got 6 of them. It's a lot to ransom, isn't it? Alright, here's the most recent one. That's my last one. January 23rd. Who farted then?
Well, it clearly wasn't me, was it?
That was Claire.
Peter, did you break wind?
No, it was Claire.
I don't believe that for a second.
I just can't smell it, it's not mine.
Right, latest one, last one. January 2013 to January 2014. Nuclear forces in America are under scrutiny by the Defense Science Board who questioned the nuclear command and control system to withstand a major hacking attack. That's not good. Also, 19, they call them missileers, which is possibly the worst title in the military, I think, a missileer, were deemed unfit for duty because they were taking acid.
Yeah. I've heard this.
On duty. Sitting there, waiting for the order to launch those nuclear missiles.
Tripping their tits off.
It's a pretty heavy job, you know. Maybe they just wanted a bit of escapism.
Yeah.
So you'd be alright with that?
No, it probably is a really fucking boring job, I'll give you that. It's probably the most boring job in the military. Think about it, right? You are literally in a bunker for a tour. Because that's going to be like 6 to 9 months if you're on domestic soil. 3 months off in between, something like that. Or on some other duty. In a bunker, on edge, all the time, waiting for that fucking order that may never come.
Just chilling out with a bit of action.
Chilling out,
Yeah.
discipline goes. Before you know it, you've got your feet on the fucking console.
Before you know it, you're
Smoking a fag at your desk.
3 days into the tour.
Right, ordering pizzas. Because nothing's going to happen.
If that
No
makes
one's that
sense,
mad.
started
So then you
drinking.
start smoking weed, and then it progresses to acid.
And orgies.
There's
There's orgies and all sorts.
And they even found evidence of cheating on numerous launch control officers on proficiency tests. So they didn't even know what they were doing anyway, because they'll be cheating off the answer book.
fuck, so they're incompetent and
High.
reckless.
183 officers were implicated, 9 were fired.
Only 9 were fired.
Only 9 were fired. And also the Major General in charge, who got over to West Germany on an exchange, like a visit, right, had been arrested for drunken behaviour and swearing and saying racist things to his German hosts. So he was fired, one of the amongst ones who were fired.
Never.
Dear oh dear. What
Behaving
is this
very
world?
inappropriately while very drunk was the reason.
What is this world coming to?
So yeah, now there's 22, right? I haven't read all of them.
Jew jokes.
I don't know what he was doing.
He's got to have made some real.
Maybe he made some Holocaust jokes, I don't know.
But terrible.
But the question remains, there's 22 we know a bit. I haven't given you the full 22, I give you the ones I thought were the most scary and the most like, holy shit. The technological ones I find the most terrifying.
Weren't we very close in 1989?
89.
Weren't we actually very close to pressing the button?
We were close in 1991 for the Gulf War. I know that much. 89.
I believe it was something to do with the Russians, I believe.
Yeah, they were crumbling at that time. 83 was the big one. Abel Archer.
Maybe it was. I don't know, but I believe we were. I was told. I don't know how true it was.
No, I don't know. Either that or it was just diplomatic tension that escalated a little bit.
Well, perhaps that's
Well, a little
what it
bit, a
was,
lot.
and the threat became like a real threat, and it was like, well, you do it, we'll do it, and then they were like, okay, all right, fair enough.
Funny, but Thatcher, who did in power at the time, was very much with Reagan about confronting the Soviet Union head on,
Well, that's-
increasing troop numbers,
I remember
increasing
it being-
military budgets.
I remember it being Thatcher in charge at the time, so yeah.
But the biggest threat the British had ever made to nuke is during the 1991 Gulf War when Maggie met, not Maggie, it would have been her foreign secretary, do you know who that was? He met Comic Ali, Tariq Aziz, the Iraqi foreign minister. Do you remember the one who was like, no, of course the Americans aren't in the city.
Yeah.
They're not rampaging through the streets of Baghdad and there's an American tank behind him.
Yeah.
He was their foreign minister, and weirdly a Christian in Saddam's almost 99% Muslim government.
Oh.
Yeah, Christian. That was the kind of guy he was. Yeah, he was like, she met him and said, look, if you launch chemical agents against British troops, we'll nuke Baghdad.
Oh.
There you go.
End of.
End of. You use chemical weapons against us and we'll nuke you. We had a bigger stick than them, so we utilised it. Nuclear weapons were never sent to the Falklands, although they were carried on they were carried on submarines. They weren't bombs weren't sent. All the submarines are armed, obviously, but
Yeah. You'd have had HMS Vengeance.
Conqueror was the one that got the kill, wasn't it? The Belgrano. That was a nuclear sub.
Because I think the V-class were just...
Yeah, they were just coming in.
Then they would have been like the brand new subs. The big V-class bombers. The ones I used to be on, yeah. I think Vengeance was the first one, so that might well have been.
So what you got?
Vanguard.
Vanguard,
Vanguard
Vengeance.
class, and it was Vanguard, Vengeance, Vigilant, and I can never remember the fourth one.
Oh,
I was Vengeance Pink. I remember that much.
Vengeance Pink.
Yeah, there was Vengeance Pink and Vengeance Black.
The shifts.
They were the two shifts because obviously.
Why
took
pink and black? Ship's colours?
Who knows? Who knows? I genuinely don't know. I don't know. I think it was different colours on the other ships as well. It was like Vigil Green and Vigil Purple or something.
Must be some weird naval tradition.
Yeah. I might actually look that up to see if there's a reason for it, because I've never known. I just remember I was Vengeance Pink. And I always thought it was very funny.
So the question remains, how many of these don't we know about?
These
Wow.
these are ones we
There's
do
22 we
about.
know. How many don't we know? How many times have we fired up the DEFCON levels?
How many times have the leaders of other countries all got a bit pissed and gone, I'm going to fire some fucking nukes at you, bruv?
That's all it takes, one madman, innit?
Yeah.
That's it.
The world's gone to hell.
I mean, obviously we have to
Crazy
realise that the Commander-in-Chiefs, whether it be the President or the President of Russia or the President of the USA or the Prime Minister of Britain, can give the order all he wants. The guys who have to push the button are still the ones that have the final say.
Yeah, and luckily on a few occasions they've...
That's been the thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think any sane man, who is not I don't think any guy in that who's on that sub.
seen The Hunt for Red October?
I have seen that, yeah. And I've seen, there's another one for Red October. You're thinking the one with Denzel Washington,
one.
Crimson Tide.
Yes, Crimson
which is a
Tide.
really good film.
It is a damn good film.
Denzel Washington is the XO, and who is it?
Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman. Of course, Gene Hackman, great role. Plays the captain, and he's like an older captain, and he's like, no, I'm going to follow my orders, and Denzel Washington's like, no, fuck you.
Victorious. That was the other one.
Yeah. Denzel Washington, no, you can't launch the orders, you can't launch the missiles, the orders aren't complete. And before you know it, there's mutiny, a counter-mutiny, another mutiny, and then everyone
All
works.
it needs is a Gene Hackman type to be in that position, and he's going to press it.
Yeah.
He's going to fire.
Yeah, it's true.
Goodbye to the Earth. Well, pretty much.
If the subs are carrying
Well,
city killers, aren't they, Pete? 12 warheads in each missile.
Yeah, they are extremely frightening. Each missile is about 100 times more powerful than the one that was dropped on Hiroshima. There's 12 warheads on each missile.
Which can be they're independently targeted.
Potential of 16 missiles on one submarine.
Yeah.
So we've got 4 of them. So if they wanted to put all 4 out at once, this is just us, England, Britain. You've got 16 times 4 potentially, times 12 again. So what's that? 6 times 4, 24. So you got 64 missiles with times that by 12.
Yeah.
Our 4 nuclear submarines could potentially pretty much take out the whole world just on their own, because the way their warheads work, you could just spread one missile out over the big major countries throughout the world, and
But every continent, couldn't you?
You'd fuck it up with fallout, if nothing else. It's a fucking scary prospect, and it's the technology they use to actually fire them. Again, is scary because they can use such pinpointed accuracy, because they go up into the atmosphere, just outside of the atmosphere, and then they just kind of float around a bit, get the stars, navigate from the stars, know their exact coordinate that they need to go by the stars, which never change.
Yeah.
So wherever you pin whatever location you put in there, they'll get that guidance from the stars and boom, straight into that exact location, each one of them. So that is fucking...
It's crazy.
Scary.
Yeah.
But this is one of the reasons why, as little old Britain, we're quite fucking lucky that we have got pretty much the best technology out there on as far as nuclear defence goes, because it would make anybody second guess themselves if they were going to...
Look at it another way. Russia needs 5 nukes, 5 H-bombs, 5 large H-bombs. Britain's uninhabitable.
Yeah.
Alright? We've got 300 of them. We make them win an amateur, well, at least it's comparative.
Well, this is it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know, it's the only consolation, it's shit, and it's a shit consolation.
Yeah.
It's
But
awful.
that is the reality of it, isn't it? But this is why they're a nuclear deterrent.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're there to deter people from doing the same to us, because they'll think to themselves, well, actually, shit, yeah, if we press this button, you're clearly going to press the button, we're fucked anyway, so nobody gains, let's just shake hands, and
Let's de-escalate.
that's how it should work.
How do we know that some of them aren't a placebo?
May well
I
be.
think the North Korea one, a lot of the North Korea ones are. I don't think they've got 60.
Like,
I don't think they've got up to
we've
60.
got 3,000, but only 1,000.
Going by
really
Russian-
would do something.
Going by Russian propaganda, it wouldn't surprise me if some of those were not real.
Stuff.
Yeah, I know the Russians, and we'll just dip into Ukraine for a moment because tension's obviously high because of that. Thoughts are that he's going to use some kind of tactical nuke. The Russians have a lot of smaller nuclear weapons in the sort of 2 to 3 ton megaton range, which is still a fucking lot. But there's a lot of them. The bigger ones you don't have so many of, whereas the West and NATO tends to carry only the bigger ones and decided that tactical nukes aren't worth it. This packs a bigger punch. Why do I want to radiate part of the battlefield my people are going to have to go over at some point? Simple answer. So yeah, I don't think they will. I think there's too much escalation. How much
You
have
don't
they
know
got?
for sure, though, do you?
I don't think. Yeah, I know it's just an opinion, but
I just can't see anybody being that much of a maniac.
no, not me.
That's because you're not a maniac.
But I
You're
look
not
at.
thinking like a maniac. A maniac. There are maniacs out there.
But I look at it another way. Is the maniacs like money, and if they nuke everything, then there's no more money. There's no more.
Really going to affect their lives as
gonna,
well.
Yeah, they're going to survive, but they'll be living in a bunker. There's going to be fuck all of us left. It's not worth it.
It's the last action of a desperate man, isn't
But
it?
it's
If
not-
Hitler had a nuke,
He'd have used it.
right at the end, would you use it?
Yeah, but again, would you have used him again? He can give the authority, but still the bloke who's got to push the button's got to do it, hasn't he? If he knows
Yeah,
the
the
game's
SS probably maniacs that would. They're fanatics and they would
And you
do
think
it.
some of them Spatsnaz or whatever they're called, they're probably fucking
Yeah.
maniacs. The people that he's got at the top that would press the button if he
we've
tells
got
them to.
maniacs too, remember? In the way America dropped the bomb. I mean, I still think it was justified.
I just like to hope that we've developed the technology to take out a fucking missile.
Yeah, that's debatable,
And why not?
sadly.
If
Yeah,
we
but
haven't,
there's the
why
start-
haven't we?
There's the Star Wars program, which Reagan started, the Strategic Defense Initiative, which is satellites in orbit around the Earth and protecting America and its allies. And should the Russians launch, it'll fire laser beams, take out the warhead, take out the propulsion system. The missiles just drop out and or spin off when they're in space. They don't go back. They don't re-enter, basically.
They abandoned it, didn't they?
They abandoned it, but it's kind of also still a thing. I don't think the lasers are still a thing, but they've been attaching lasers to the front of Boeing 747s and just taking out missiles of that recently.
Because of the height they can go and things like
The
that.
height they can go, and
They
then
can sit at 42,000
and when you
feet.
can mount a giant laser on and all its power shit on a 747. You can blow
That's a
blow a
jumbo
missile
jet.
up. Yeah, jumbo jet.
If you didn't know.
When you go on the military version, it's not the 747. It's got a different name for the military.
Yeah.
Stick a laser on the front of that. You got all that space or power for it, and you just blow that fucker out the sky. But still, we have come far too close to accidentally doing it. And I mean, I haven't even touched on
The actual threats.
the nuclear poker game that was played between Khrushchev and Kennedy, and was ridiculous. I'm not even going to touch on that. It was ridiculous.
Poker game like that still goes on now.
It
Look
does.
at-
Does.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's what's going on
King
right
John
now.
Otton.
It's what's going on right
Let's
now.
look at King John Otton, who's launching every 5 minutes a couple of years ago.
Well, he launched one this week. They launched a
Over
missile
Japan.
over Japan.
Yeah.
Over Japan.
Over Japan, the Japanese weren't happy.
Well, they did it about 2 years ago, didn't they? And it nearly kicked off because of it. Luckily, Japan have sworn a creed not to get into any combat ever again. But
It's not just North
Will
Korea, it's
that-
Russia. It's Putin. He's threatening.
No,
He
obviously.
He said, "I'm not bluffing,"
I
which
was
means
just-
which what you say when you're bluffing. I'm not bluffing. I don't think he will. I don't think he'll be allowed to.
Hopefully not.
I really don't.
What
That's
if
all
the
we can say.
Ukrainians
Let's hope not.
go too far into Russia and
I think they'd stop at the border.
you
They'd
think?
have to. Yeah, they'd take back what was theirs, the Donbass and maybe the Crimea.
well, he said that's a red line now. That's Russian territory. So
Well, that bridge is gone today. You see that?
no.
The one bridge from Crimea to Russia has been destroyed, and no one knows what did it. The Ukrainians aren't admitting it. The Russians are saying it looks like a truck bomb. I've seen the footage.
Could be a
Literally,
false flag.
could be a false flag.
Could also just be rebels.
Could have been Russian rebels.
Yeah.
Could have been domestic terrorists. But either way, the main bridge from Russia to Crimea has been partly destroyed, and it's down to one lane. So it could escalate, and the Ukraine situation could very easily escalate. Now he's declared these regions parts of Russia, he can say, even though no one else recognises them, and that's going to cause you dispute there.
Yeah.
Of
Because
course.
if he launches a nuke at Ukraine, then NATO's going to either have to stand by him or back down. If you back down, what else do you let him get away with?
We could be boxing ourselves into a corner here.
We could be. When we are, because they say he does launch a tactical nuke at Ukrainian forces, or he nukes Kyiv. The West's got a choice to make then.
Yeah.
Either you back them up and move your forces in and take your bombers to level 1 and arm your missiles and put all your subs to sea, or you don't. And then you have to wonder, well, what's next? Do you let him have Ukraine and then you bring on NATO countries around him, or what if he gets a bit bored and decides... I mean, Poland this week asked for nuclear missiles from America on its soil. Asked for them. So can we train our pilots amongst yours to fly planes and nuclear bombs?
Well, they've gone far right, haven't they?
They have gone far right, but it's also that's escalation. There's no Poland, so it's trying to poke the bear, isn't it? Doesn't like the Russians, Poland.
No, and now there's effectively
Yeah.
Nazis on the neo-Nazis.
My ex-girlfriend who was Polish, she
Yeah, the
described them as the
Polish.
Polish. She's described them as the Catholic Taliban, right-wing Christian government. She's described them as. A lot of nationalism going on, conscriptions up, Polish flags everywhere. You know, pushing the cultural heritage,
Hate crimes,
which
I
is
imagine.
rich and diversified. Don't get me wrong, it's fucking awesome. It's a great country. It's a fantastic country. I'd go there again tomorrow. It's almost like they're just building something. You know, the Russians are right next door, and they're in NATO now. They got the rest of us to back them up, and as of course we fuck them over like we did at the start of World War II. Well, we went to war for them, I guess. Didn't help them much after them.
So shall we sum up?
Sum up, it's fucking terrifying.
What's this question you got to ask us then?
Oh yeah, how many we don't know about? How many don't we know
That was the
about?
question.
Yeah. Guarantee it's in the hundreds, isn't it?
Yeah.
More than likely.
Fuck yeah. Tragic and terrifying. Are we doing fucked up facts or?
Yeah, I just want to say, final thought, just a sane world wouldn't accept this, would it? It just shows how insane our world is.
Yeah.
It is a sword of Damocles. The problem is that once the nuclear genie's at the bottle, you know, it's, what can you do? Someone's going to have one. If you say get rid of them all, some madman somewhere will build one.
Well, you've got to sign up. Everyone's got to sign up,
I
haven't
know.
they? And agree to decreasing the amount of weapons.
You got
to get
trust
to zero.
anyone? All it takes is a nutter.
Well, you've got to empower the UN to be able to do something about it.
Oh, they're pointless. They've done another one, they. That's the problem.
One final word. I don't think we mentioned last week. If we did, doesn't matter. But R.I.P. Coolio, because I don't think we said
I
it
don't
on the
think we
cast
did.
last week. And I wanted to just really say that because growing up in the 80s, 90s, and that, fucking legend, absolute legend. Like that song. If
Gangsta's
nothing
Paradise.
else, yeah. If nothing else, just that one song made him a legend. But yeah, R.I.P. Coolio.
I'll give him a full RIPD. Claire?
R.I.P. Yeah.
No. Nuclear weapons.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah. RAP to nuclear weapons.
Yeah, they should go. They should all go. They shouldn't be in the sky for a start off.
They were for a long ass time though.
They shouldn't be in the subs either, because what happened if a sub was to just boom as well, you know?
Well, luckily they're in the middle of the ocean, so it won't.
Well,
Yeah, but-
Kursk was nuclear armed and that went down.
Yeah.
don't want nuclear going off anywhere, Pete.
No, fucking right you're not. But rather it go off in the middle of the water, in the middle of the ocean than
on land.
On land.
On ocean, it's going to make a big, like, sort of tidal wave.
Nah. Where do you think they test them? Where do you think they test them?
You do get a bit of a tsunami, but it's more the initial upblast.
It's certainly not going to do anywhere near the devastating damage as it would going off on land.
Yep.
So, best case scenario would
It's still
be
irradiating
going
the
off.
water, though.
I was going to say three-eyed
It's not
fish
good.
also.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
good.
three-eyed
No,
fish.
not good, but more survivable than
Yeah.
them going off.
It's a better
elsewhere.
alternative, isn't it?
Yeah, if you had to choose one,
We go with a three-eyed fish.
I'm not eating three-eyed fish.
I can live without fish. I got no bother with that. Pescatarians, bollocks to you all.
Fucked up facts then.
Alright, let's end the show on some fucked up facts. Jingle, please. Facts. Fucked up facts. Facts.
Fuck.
Give us some facts.
Right, the town of Cuba Pedy in Australia.
Cuba Pedy.
Yeah.
Alright.
G'day, mate.
Cuba Petty.
Is so hot that most people live underground.
Fucking
mate.
Morlocks.
Yeah.
It's
There you
so
go,
bloody
nuclear
hot here.
winter.
It's so bloody hot here.
Mad Max,
I've
innit?
never seen the sun.
It's Mad Max, isn't it? Yeah, there's been a nuclear war in Australia. Well, that's what Australia's like. Australia on about? It's, of course, Australia's Mad Max. That's what the Outback's like. Mad Max wasn't a film, it was a documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they live underground, what we're even thinking. Yeah, that's it.
They even got the loopy Aussies down to a T,
Exactly.
didn't they?
Yeah.
That is just generally downtown fucking Melbourne, innit?
They basically live in hobbit homes.
Fantastic.
I like that, yeah.
That's not
I'd
bad, is
live
it?
there, man. Without the heat.
I don't be a Morlock,
I
though.
just want to live in a hobbit house. With good fun.
Mm.
The bending down wouldn't be great, but...
No, the chronic back pain that came after me would be a bitch, wouldn't it?
Sure they dig it.
So would the hunch in your back. Sorry, Claire, go on.
They'll dig it deep enough so you can stand up. Fools.
Alright, Claire.
Sorry.
A raft of floating rock was spotted in 2019, twice the size of Manhattan.
Wow.
As in the sweets.
No, as in rock.
Oh,
As in...
Yeah, Blackpool Rock.
Plastoffs.
It looks like a piece of lava or something, a piece of pumice stone.
Correct.
Yay!
hence it's floating.
Yeah.
So it's come up from a... like,
Underwater volcano
That's
eruption.
cool as fuck.
Yeah.
How big?
Twice the size of Manhattan.
So we whittled that away to put on the side of our baths to rub our feet with.
Yeah.
Fuck it, I just want to. I want to live on it. Just like twice the size of Manhattan. A
Yeah.
little island.
Of rock, mate. It's gonna get a bit boring, isn't it? Day 54, son, a floating piece of fucking rock.
It's big enough to be able to build shit on it.
I'm getting, well, you know, depending on where you bashed into, you could like give me some supplies.
Yeah, I landed at Florida last week, and then a couple of weeks later I was in Bermuda.
Yeah, and a month before that you were attacked by Somali pirates.
It's alright, he's got a rock the size of Manhattan to hide on.
I'm fine, mate. It's
I think he's
twice-
run, he's got loads.
To hide on in the middle of an ocean, a floating piece of rock. What are you going to
Run
hide
away.
behind?
I will
He's
build
better
many-
dips and crevices.
I'll
He can play an
building-
intricate game of hide and seek.
I'll build many an infrastructure in there.
Baby.
Don't worry, it'll be like a full-on little floating town. Don't you worry.
There's no wood to build with, it's rock.
What, I can't take wood with me?
He could
I'm
pumice.
not allowed, am I not?
He
I'm
could
not-
quarry some pumice from the edge and move it and build stuff out of it. The island shrink, we could build houses.
How
out.
you
Do you know what? I could shrink it down easily. I could take half of it and still have a Manhattan-sized floating fucking
Yeah.
rock. So I could
How are you going
build
to moor
from
this
it.
thing?
All hail the glorious Republic of Pretoria.
Yep, it's happening. I'm going to find it and I'm going to go put my flag on it and claim it.
How
all
you
I gotta
moor
do is
it?
put a
How are
post
you
on
gonna
each
moor
corner.
it?
I'll just get some really big-ass anchors.
Right.
I'll use like big ship anchors. Be fine.
We fine. It's only light, isn't it?
Exactly, it's light.
If it
Very
does crash into
floatable.
anything, we'll be fine. It'll just bounce off it.
It's not a
Well, it's a
problem.
break off it.
Mate, it's a fucking plan. I'm on it. I'm on it. Yeah.
You know, we Minister of Defence.
Pretoria.
Yeah, no problem.
Sweet.
Pretoria, it's happening. Just need to hire my helicopter and go find it.
Fantastic. Get on it.
And get John Hammond to fund it.
He's dead though.
Damn it!
In the films and in real life.
Damn it!
It's a double whammy.
Next fact.
Go on then.
Yeah.
It is perfectly legal to break out of prison in Belgium, Germany, the Netherlands, Sweden and Austria.
So basically, if you break out, it's like fair fucking play, mate. You deserve to be out.
They believe it is human nature to want to escape from captivity.
Let's make us time in their prisoner war camps, didn't they?
So basically, right, if I go to one of them countries, commit a crime, break out, sound,
Yeah.
fucking sweet, I'm going to go rob some banks.
I guess if
somewhere.
they catch you, though, they'll still make you do the time that you've evaded.
If you don't break out. Yeah, you're going to be chiselling with a teaspoon for a while.
The breaking out of prison isn't illegal, but I'm sure you've still. I'm
Right,
sure your
so
slate
they-
isn't wiped clean.
So you-
I was hoping it was!
Congratulations, you won the prison.
You won the
matrix.
prison raffle.
Yeah.
you wouldn't get
Prison raffle.
you wouldn't get extra time like you would here or in America and places like
Yeah.
that. You'd just have to carry
I
out.
imagine. It doesn't say, but
Yeah. Well, it'd be a bit silly if not, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? I've murdered 17 people, but I managed to break out, so I'm
Oh, you
free! I can get a job again.
No, you just leave the country, wouldn't you? Get out of there! You're going to go back to working at Boots.
female squid sometimes show fake testes to avoid male advances.
You know what? If human women could do that, there'd be no rape.
I've known some that can do it, so...
Well, you've been dating squid women?
Well, no, they just like that. Alright, darling. Oh, fuck off. She's got bigger bollocks than
And
me.
you dated them?
No. I'm joking, clearly.
He did.
A little bit.
250 million years ago, the oceans were not blue.
No, they were pink.
Close, there's purple here.
Ooh.
It was a pinky,
Purple
purpley
hue.
shade, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Why?
it's because of the algae and things like that, and just the coloration of all the. See, I said it just to piss everybody off. All the different shit underwater and things like that. It just had a different look. It was
Where's
still
that
clear water,
Where's the shit gone nail them?
but also it's a reflection from the sky, so it would have also been the colour of the sky.
The algae reflecting the sunlight.
Yeah.
So where's all that gone now then?
Dunno, have you got the answer for that, or no?
No.
He never has the answers, he just has the facts.
Yeah, true. We shouldn't question. Don't question the facts.
When Genghis Khan's horsemen...
Genghis.
Oh, yeah.
Remember we followed Dan Carling.
Wait, if I'm lost. When Genghis Khan's horsemen rode, they would form
Genghis.
a column 15 miles wide.
Fucking hell.
15 miles wide.
Yeah, it's
Wow. That's pretty impressive. That's from here past Shrewsbury.
Wow.
Marching along the place.
No wonder they just swarmed everything in their path.
I wonder how many deep they were, like.
Oof.
2.
It's like
One.
Just one line. No, you'd have thought there'd be a good couple of
You'd be
tens of.
Yeah.
Hundreds, perhaps, maybe.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
It'd be in their tens at least, wouldn't they?
Yeah. More than that.
How big was his army, do you know?
Oh, hundreds of thousands.
And they all just marched along.
Well, they were on horses mainly.
Yeah, 50.
Plus they had all the auxiliaries from territories they conquered. Korea and...
And all the armies that joined them on the way.
Yeah.
The ones that were sensible, that thought, you either... Because he was always fair.
Join me or
Always-
die.
He gave them that option. He's like, if you want to join me, then crack on. If not, we will kill you.
That's how I'm going to unite the human race, you know. Just join me or die. When I take over, when I become John Connor.
you and your John Connor fantasy.
Mum always said I'd be good at something. Who'd have known it was leading a revolution against the machines?
Well, I always saw myself as the Sarah Connor, so does that mean you're going to be my son?
I guess so.
Oh.
What do you mean, ah?
How am I going to give birth to you?
You haven't got to, you're just going to impregnate me mother.
Sweet.
You don't get Shaggy's mum.
In 1983. Or 1982.
It's alright, I've got my time machine in the pipes already with me AK-47 and that to go back and
great.
get the shit out of the...
You can't take the AK back with you in Terminator law. You can't take weapons back with you, remember?
I don't give a fuck about Terminator law. This is my law. Law of Pretoria.
Oh, right, well...
I'll have my own laws and everything, mate. Don't you worry. I'm floating in the middle of the ocean. I've got complete fucking immunity from anybody. It's badass. Pretoria is going to be the new fucking...
That wasn't about in 1982.
It will have been, because I'll transport that back in my... I'll make sure my time machine can transport, like, massive land objects.
Why do you want to go back to 1982 just to fuck my mum? That means you're going to moor somewhere in England.
I'm just going to do that on the way back. Yeah, on the way back from...
That means you're going to moor somewhere in Wales, travel over Wales to get to Dorley.
Oh, I'll be cutting Wales off of England before.
How are you going to manage that?
Oh, I'll get it back in
You're some
time.
massive diamond industrial zone. You're assuming the UK and nuclear power will stand by it to do
What's
nothing,
gonna happen
where you
is-
just saw Wales off.
I've planned it all out, right? So when I build my time machine, I'll go ahead in time first and get
Right.
like some crazy big laser.
And cut Wales off.
Then I'll go back in time.
He's altering history massively.
Yeah, but I'll be doing this before like England was anything to do with England.
He's
He's
doing
doing it. Why don't I
I'll just chop it off.
What if you end up with
before.
Wales being the aggressor and conquering all of England? You've changed history. You can't do that. You go back in
There'll just be
time.
like a little floating island, like in the middle of nowhere, all speaking the Welsh, and they'll all be happy because they get to just keep speaking Welsh.
Probably hit America, but you know.
That's fine. But that's my plan anyway. And then on the way back, 1982, bit of bum chicka wow wow with Ben's mum. All right, son.
Great. Well, that's fantastic.
Anyway, next fact.
Alright, we'll end on this one. US farmers.
Thinking about it now, is that? Shit, Pete could be my dad. What if he's being serious about this?
So, shit.
So if I am being serious about it,
It's already happened.
it's happened.
Yeah.
US farmers could save $2.2 billion a year by painting cows to look like zebras.
What?
They could say.
What? So they don't?
Why?
Is this so they don't get abducted by the aliens all the time? Because they think they're zebras. They're like, ah, what? No, we can't do that. It's not a cow. My alien accent.
Even the Greys, they're telepathic. So you want to say anything, we'd all hear it. Yeah, so I heard that. So if they're all zebras, they won't mutilate them.
Exactly.
That's not the
That's a
answer
good
as far as I
saving.
know.
So,
That's not the answer.
oh,
Well,
why then?
Anyone guess?
something to do with temperature,
Nope.
better camouflage from predators.
Yes.
Oh, because the stripes confuse the vision of the predators.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what? Coyotes
It's like,
and wolves and shit, or
coyotes
what?
and
No.
pumas and
No.
People?
Little tiny predators.
mosquitoes and things.
Flies, yeah. Biting fly-related costs. They could save 2.2 billion a year.
Wow.
Well, you do know if you're trying to capture a fly, if you do that, if you wave
waving
your
his fingers.
fingers going towards them, it confuses their vision and they don't see you. So you can get right up close to them and splat them on the wall.
I've never tried that with my bare hand and probably never will.
I'm like the fly ninja. Any fly comes in my house.
The fly
dead.
whisperer.
Honestly, you're dead. Flick them out of the air and shit. I do. It's funny.
Alright, Mr. Miyagi, calm down. Right, let's end the show there. Thanks so much for listening. I've been Ben. I hope you're not too horrified. Thanks for listening. Don't do the flavour aid. Don't join a call.
I've been Mike, thanks for listening. Peace out, may the force be with you.
I'll be Clair, keep an open mind, but not so open that it spills out your ears.
And I've been Pete. Aim low but shoot high.